A little while back, I was on an overtime shift on a truck, and we were assigned to a second alarm, and we're the last unit there, last truck, and we're the only ones that didn't receive assignment. But via the radio, it sounded like there was quite a few challenges. So I decided to sit down with the first in captain, Jack Middleton. So Jack, what were some of the first things going through your head, and what'd you have when you rolled up to scene?
So we were dispatched to a structure fire, commercial and apartment building, middle of the night, roughly 1, 2 in the morning. We arrived at scene to see the apartment building was about 1,000 feet up a long, steep driveway, and we committed to go up the driveway. Saw some heavy fire and smoke from a distance, so we knew we had a working fire. Engine 11 was pretty tight behind us, and did a really good job of saying, hey, we're going to stay down here at this hydrant, so let us know. So we got to the top of the hill, saw heavy fire showing from a first floor apartment and a second floor apartment that was right above it. Looked like a common attic, about 10 to 15 units in the building. So in my size up, I said, engine 11, lay us a line, and also made a second alarm immediately because of the challenges with the steep driveway and the common attic. And I had a feeling that this was such a well-involved fire that, once it ran that attic, we're going to have some significant structural loss. So every other unit that arrived at scene after engine 11, there was no room for them. They had to stage at the bottom of the hill, which meant the two truck companies, truck 11 and truck 14, had to hike up their ground ladders and saws and hooks all the way from the street below. Just a unique challenge. I think the truckers were very aggressive and did a great job coordinating with Division 2, and I think it very easily could have gone another direction, and we could have lost the entire attic and some other units. But they kicked it into the next gear after being whooped climbing the hill and going to work.
So you've got a really long driveway and trucks that have to hike up their stuff, and you called a second right away. Did that in itself present any challenges?
This was a challenging thing in regards to, I called a second alarm in my size up. So I don't even have very many units at scene, and they're dispatching a second. So as you can imagine, first alarm units are still arriving, and then second alarm units start arriving almost seamlessly. So when that first unit on the second alarm showed up, they said at scene. I gave them an assignment, not knowing that they were first in on the second. Unless that first in company identifies themselves, you might not know.
Jack, I actually heard you give a staging location pretty early on. You can see or hear dispatch doing it on this video when you're getting out of the rig. Not going to staging, did that create any issues?
Yeah, and I mean, just identifying, hey, we're first in on the second alarm. Do you have an assignment? And I would have in this situation said, make your engineer staging and bring your crew up. That's what I would have said. In a rare situation, say we had rescues or a lot going on, I would have said, bring your whole crew up. I'm making the second in engine staging. You have that option, but just identifying who you are, when you come in, if you're not on the first alarm, because there's a lot going on.
You also mentioned that there were some difficulties that you're having with Rick and the challenges that you have with this road. Do you want to explain those?
Because of the challenges of having rigs so far down, and we were engaged on 2 floors with 2 fully involved apartment units. After assigning Division 1 and Division 2 and Vent Group, I needed RIC equipment up there because we had no truck. I didn't know if I wanted to make them RIC yet, but I knew I needed that RIC equipment from the bottom of that hill to the top of the hill. So their assignment was bring RIC equipment up the hill. And then once they got there, I was going to decide, do I still need people fighting fire, or am I going to make them RIC? But I needed that equipment up. And that's one of the things that, we don't really think about because RIC equipment's right in front of the structure the majority of the time. Well, this was 1,000 feet away down a hill. So if we had an actual Mayday or firefighter down, we didn't have that stuff there. So that, you got to think about that early. You normally assign a rig and, within 30 seconds, 20 seconds, you're seeing guys right in front of your face, ready to work or going to work. And that wasn't the case. It was multiple minutes of waiting.
One other thing I want to point out is the discipline it takes for that second in unit to stage down at the hydrant instead of being the moth to the flame and going up there and then, clogging up that main artery without having the hydrant established. What were your thoughts on Engine 11's initial actions, Jack?
If they would have bypassed that hydrant, it would have made things extremely difficult for the incident. So by doing that, they were able to engage quicker because they waited. Okay, we don't have a hydrant, lay a line. As opposed to 2 inches up there with no hydrant. And now what do? We got to hand jack a line 1,000 feet.
Truck 12, medical.
Sweet. Well, I guess we're going to have to go.
No, we'll take this.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jack.
19, I need a fire attack. So is it 12? Copy, fire attack. Fire attack, I see. Go for fire attack. I have engine 19 assigned to you. I have it.